Hey everybody, Edo here, and this is my top 10 games of 2020 that I reviewed. So it's not from all the games of 2020, and also not necessarily games released in 2020. These are games that I've reviewed in 2020. I will also note, none of the blue-orange games I reviewed are included in this list. I decided to make a separate blue-orange top 10 list. Go check it out. But they are barren from this list. And actually, it was quite a year, and I felt so inclined to list 5 games that are not in my top 10 games from this year, and fall into the category of games I have no interest in playing again. One's a little mean, but the rest, like, deservedly so, in my opinion. So, I'll start with those and then we'll get into the good list. So, I, for one, did not like Funkoverse, Harry Potter. I didn't play all the other ones, but as incredible as the components and look of that game is, and actually as well designed and well balanced, with interesting mechanics as it was, it just didn't do anything to make it fun, accessible, engaging, or in my opinion, Funko. Or in my opinion, like Harry Potter. Like, the art execution and all of the mechanical pieces worked. It just, from a play experience, it was dense and heavy and boring and procedural, and boy, that was like instant giveaway. I was not a fan of that, and nor was my wife. So then there's Choose Your Own Adventure, War with the Evil Power Master. This is another game, night-ruining game. I mean, we, at the same time as getting this game, and you can see my review, we also bought the old Choose Your Own Adventure books, and like, it would have just been more fun to read the Choose Your Own Adventure books out loud and then just agree on what we should do than to play that game. We will not be playing it again. We will not be buying the other one. Though other people have said the other one's better. I don't know. It's just so much reading and not really translating it. It just, I don't know. Not for this household, not for me. Next up is Machikoro Legacy. Again, this isn't a game that's bad. There's lots of components to it that all work together and move you forward, but, you know, I am a huge Machikoro fan. I played the original, Expansion 1, Expansion 2. I've played so many games of Machikoro. But the Legacy experience didn't add anything, didn't make it any more interesting, and it's one of those Legacy games where after whatever, game 8 of 12 or 13 or whatever, it was just like, we're wasting our game nights playing this game. Like, we should just be playing other games because this is a waste. And so I can't recommend that to anyone. I can still recommend Machikoro, and I guess if you've never played any Machikoros, maybe you'd enjoy it. But not for me or for the folks we played with. I haven't gotten to it, but I am very much looking to Clank Legacy to redeem Legacy titles. Then there is controlctrl. This is actually a neat physical thing where you're doing an area control game or like line drawing over a cube and you're manipulating it. The actual game, the idea, the execution is pretty darn good. But I think the component problems on that game and things falling off and it just not sticking and staying and the flags just ruined the experience for me. I thought, some people argued with the review and brought it up, but there were lots of people who also just had that problem, and I think it just suffers from trying to do some really interesting and complex components that just don't live up to it, and I could only imagine it getting worse and worse and worse with continued play, which we didn't get to. After a handful of games, it was just always falling apart, and we just stopped. Lastly, Sonora. Sonora was billed as like the first flick and write game. Lots of interesting concepts, but just mechanically, like, the rules were terrible, and they redid it, I think. But just, like, so much mechanic, like, that game was a less is, like, should have been a less is more, and they were actually a more is less. And another game that just was a total miss. And so anyway, if you're interested in learning more about those games, or to disagree with me, you can do that here, or you can go to the reviews and do it there, and I'm happy to talk about it, but not... if you loved any of those games, let me know. Let me know what I missed, but I'm not going to play them again. Okay, So, top 10 great games I played this year, right? Coming in at number 10 is Kachank. This is not a game, or Kachank, that many have played. It was sent to me by a company in Russia. I do believe it's available in the United States, but perhaps not. And it is an area control rubber band game. It comes with tons of mini rubber bands. It's almost like you're going to make those, what are those things called, those bracelets the kids do?
Rainbow Balloon.
It's almost like a Rainbow Balloon board game. And, but it's this area control, and you're like making different shapes with to take over areas and earn resources and that kind of thing. And what's so cool about it is they built it in such a way that they have it's got pegs, and you're putting in different boards, all of which have different designs and mechanics and rule sets. And just, I dug it. I thought it was super cool and interesting, and it just worked. That's coming in at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is Small World of Warcraft. Huge Small World fan, huge Warcraft fan. The two brought together as the sort of best of Small World game is fantastic. Just perfectly executed, totally dug it. I thought the sort of Alliance faction rule set was a little meh, but other than that, easily recommendable to anyone who's big into Warcraft or big into Small World. If you're like, I am done with Small World, I never want to play that game again, then, it doesn't change that. That's for sure. Also, if you're like, I don't like Warcraft, play Small World. It's just as good. Next up, coming in at number 8 is Atlantis Rising and the Medusa Pack, which was a free print and play they sent along my way. Atlantis Rising is pretty fantastic. It's heavier. It's like a denser worker placement game with this giant board and all these components. And it's not, board is the wrong word. It's like Atlantis, and you've built out all these, peninsulas off of it, or whatever they are. And so well done, so thoughtful. Vincent Dutray's art is incredible. And then I really like the Medusa expansion. So that is an all-star game and highly recommended. Coming in at number 7 is Alice's Garden. I've actually brought this up in a number of videos. Alice's Garden is a really simple game where you're doing Palomino Tetris piece placement and trying to just score different types of sets. What works really well with it is there's this really cool draw mechanic where they actually separate each type, like square piece, long piece, elbow piece, whatever, zigzag, squiggly, into different bags, and you're going to draft, but the person whose turn it is gets to pick which shape you're going to draft from. And straightforward. So I'm not a huge Alice in Wonderland, that is not an IP that I'm like, I need it on a game, but I really enjoyed that game and highly recommend it. Another one from that same company in Russia, which I think is available in the States, but perhaps not. They also did Hedgehog Roll, which I think was nominated and won a Spiel. They're doing some interesting stuff. I think the name of the company is That Game Company or something forgettable. But the games I dig. Then coming in at number 6 is Miyabi. Miyabi is from the designer of Azul. His name's slipping my mind, but really fantastic game of laying tiles and trying to earn points for creating your Zen garden. The mechanics of it, the flow, it all worked for me. Played it with a variety of groups and folks, and just dig it. Really think it was well done, and definitely had my attention, and is now part of the permanent collection. I mean, frankly, all of these are, but never mind. Even having said that, I was really surprised. This was T introduced me to it from Hapa. They sent along the copy. And T was like, you're going to love this, Ed. And T was right. So, next up, coming in at number 5 is Rokemon. Rokemon is a forever print and play game you can buy that is this really tight head-to-head 2-player game of you're essentially scoring off of these different cards in front of you, but it goes over, it's not a legacy game, but it goes over a certain series of rounds and additional rule sets. Really simple. It's 12 cards and a handful of dice. But I was very impressed by it. Absolutely recommend it. Worth checking out. And you can just download it and play, I think for free. So, and it won some awards in that group. So highly recommend Rokemon. Coming next at number 4, I think it's all the way up there with Miyabi, is Trogdor, the board game. Game's fantastic. Perfectly executed thematic Trogdor game, cooperative, family-friendly, burninating the villagers. It's, to me, in many ways, it's what a lot of cooperative games miss when they get too serious or too hard. Like, it's just fun. It's loose, it's messy, the card powers are over the top, but it's fun, and it's cool, and it's enjoyable, and it was a pleasure showing the kids, and even my kids, just like literally today, my youngest was like, when are you going to get rid of all these board games, Dad? Like, you should just spend a day and get rid of half of these games. And he's like, but don't get rid of Trogdor. So Evan approved. Coming in at number 3 is Jurassic Parks. Jurassic Parks, I think I have it over here. This one here. By 25th Century Games. I think this game is fantastic. It's an area control game where you are, you have a huge hex of land and of bones and stuff, and you're chiseling it out, and you're essentially taking over areas, and the people that contributed to that split the goods, but they split in a really interesting way. I brought this up. I reviewed it, but I also included it in my mechanics, dynamics, and aesthetics video. I think it's great, really easy to teach and play, and it's fantastic. Coming in at number 2. Number 2 is Unlock Timeless Adventures. Now, I review tons of unlocks all the time. I even posted my video for the Star Wars one, I don't know, like a month ago. There's been all sorts of exit games and a variety of these titles. We even did that escape puzzle. Timeless Adventures, for me, is the best unlock that has been done to date. And it just stood out to me. We really liked it. We really had a good time with it. And I thought it was smart and different and really leveraged the technology. And it sort of felt like the pinnacle of what they've done so far. Star Wars does some other cool stuff. But also pulled it down a little bit to make it more of an entry unlock, which is fine, but I've played so many of these things with my wife. But this one, I don't know. It just stood out as being stellar. And when I was looking through the videos, I really felt like it had to be way up there. And so, coming in at number 1 is My City. Now, this is a popular game. Lots of people have certainly said it's fantastic. This is it. It's a Kaninsea game. But this is a legacy builder with Palominos as well. But what's so good about it is that it's this really simple rule set. It's like it's like 2 pages of rules. And then you start playing, and it plays quickly, and it has some mechanics like Scarabia, which I also reviewed this year. But it's just such a pleasure to play. Each round goes quickly. The rule set increments in a really nice way. There isn't much of a story there, but it just doesn't... I feel so often legacy games need to be deep and heavy and complete, but this one absolutely succeeded in not being that way. And it succeeded in the way that Machikoro didn't. Like, Machikoro very quickly, legacy, outstayed its welcome, but every time we played My City and opened it up, you'd play one season, which was 3 games, and have fun, maybe even do 6, and then call it and come back to it. And each time it incremented, and each time it was fun. Like, just worked and felt interesting and enjoyable. And it stood out. And I think it was nominated, won some more awards. This isn't like some hidden game no one else has heard about. But you might not have heard about Kachank. You might not have heard Kachank. You might not have heard of Alice's Garden or Rokemon. Probably the rest of them. But, anyway. So those were the top 10 games of 2020. Let me know your favorites or what I missed or whatever. I really like reading those comments and hearing from everyone. So thanks a lot for watching. Bye. Hey everybody, Edo here, and thanks for watching Gaming with Edo. Reviews over here on this playlist, League and Insider videos over here on this one. Subscribe, share, all that good stuff. But most importantly, play some great games. Thanks. Bye.